Hey guys, welcome to Jack's Beautiful You. In today's video, I'm super excited because we're going to be reviewing the brand new My Dream palette from Natasha Denona, and I did also pick up the cheek palette as well, so we'll be reviewing this. She does have a lipstick, a lip liner, and a lip gloss in the collection, but I am drowning in cool toned nude lipsticks and I didn't pick that up. But we will be reviewing these two today and I'll be telling you what I think. We'll be doing a couple of looks, swatches, comparisons, all that fun stuff that goes along with an eyeshadow palette review. If you're new here, hi, my name is Jackie. I do mostly beauty, perfume, makeup on this channel. If you are into that kind of content, I would love it if you would subscribe. And to my returning subscribers, thank you guys so much for all of your continued support. I really appreciate you. If you are interested in hearing my thoughts on this new palette and this new cheek palette from Natasha Denona, then just keep on watching. All right guys, so this is what the outer packaging looks like, and I actually really like it. It's a interesting outer packaging, and it doesn't feel like that traditional like hard plastic packaging. It has kind of like a soft feel to it. And of course in the back you have the pop outs so you can rearrange the palette in whatever way that you see fit. I have swatched this palette already and this is what it looks like. I'll show you up close pictures here in a minute, but this is the palette, and I have to say I was kind of surprised because this looks a lot more warm toned in person than it does online. So the promo pictures made me feel like this was more of like a cooler toned, which it does have some cool tone in it. This is kind of a warm and cool tone palette mixed together, a little bit like the retro palette was, and we will compare those palettes as well. But yeah, this does look a little bit more warm toned to me in person than it did online. So we'll do some comparisons. We'll talk about the color story and all of that later on. But I do know that this is supposed to be 15 shades of Natasha Denona's just absolute favorites. These are her favorite colors in a palette. I'm a huge lover of purple, so anytime I see a purple eyeshadow palette, I love these kind of colors, and I honestly feel like these tones are just universally flattering on everyone. I feel like every eye color looks good in these kinds of tones, and I really do like this color story a lot. So I'm definitely here for the purple. Now I do believe there are 2 repeat shades in here. I just don't know what they are, to be honest. So I do know that this black shade right here is a repeat shade because it's in the mini Xenon here. It's called Blackest Black, and Blackest Black is also in this palette as well. So I know that that is a repeat shade, which is fine with me, honestly, because I don't mind having a black in my palette. I don't know what the other repeat shade is. So if you do know, please let me know in the comment section. I think some people were saying that it was this one right here, the Serenity. I think some people were saying that this Serenity shade has been renamed and that this same shade is in the Star palette, which I'm not sure because I don't have the Star palette. But anyway, the other 13 shades are supposed to be originals, I believe. So anyway, this is what the palette looks like. Let me go ahead and show you everything up close. Let me show you the swatches and all of that. Okay, so the price on this palette has increased. It used to be $65 for Natasha Denona's medium or mid-sized palettes, but now it is $69. So it's not just this palette. I think when I went on the Sephora app, all of the mid-sized palettes were now $69, which everything seems to be going up these days, so I'm not really that surprised to see a price increase. The My Dream Cheek Trio looks like this, and this retails for $48, and then the lipstick is $27. The lip gloss is $27, and then the lip liner is $24. If you go on Natasha Denona's website, I'm noticing here you can get the full set for $176 total. This shade right here, Vision, is absolutely gorgeous. As you can see in the camera, it's like a purpley kind of color, but if you turn it, it shifts to like a golden green kind of color, which is super, super beautiful. Has the most beautiful multi-chrome shift, and this shade right here, I think it's called Invention. This was absolutely stunning as well. So definitely want to do a few looks with this palette, and then at the end we will do some comparisons. All right, first off, I'm gonna prime my eyes with my Milani eyeshadow primer. All right, we're gonna start off with an easy look. We're just gonna do a pretty simple, easy, everyday, neutral-ish kind of look with this palette. So we're gonna start out with this shade right here, Nurture, and I'm just gonna put it up where my transition would be. I have hooded eyes, so I have to go up pretty high. Okay, that's pretty dark actually. That's a little darker than I expected it to be, so definitely pigmented for sure. Blending out super easy, no problems with the blending at all. And we're gonna go into this shade right here called Familia, and we're just gonna take that a little bit lower into where my actual crease is. That is definitely a darker and a little bit warmer toned brown. I'm gonna go into this shade right here, Aspiration, and we're gonna put that on the outer corner. Okay, and then I really want to play with this shimmer shade called Invention right here. That really caught my eye when I was swatching. It looks absolutely beautiful. So I'm just putting it on my finger, and we're just going to put it all over the lid. That is a really, really pretty shade. I really like that. Just kind of reminds me of fall. And then I want to take this shimmer shade right here called Thrill, and we're going to put that on my finger, and we'll just put that in the inner portion. Very pretty shimmers for sure, a little tiny bit of fallout. So I would recommend doing your eye makeup first before your face makeup. I do have a little bit of fallout from those shimmers right here, but nothing too bad. That just wiped away pretty easily, so it's really not too big of an issue. So I feel like everything's blending out super nice and the shimmers are really good. I'm gonna take this Unity shade right here, and I'm just going to add it up by my brow bone a little bit. Okay, let's take Familia again, that darker brown shade, and we're just going to bring it around to the lower lash line. And then back to Invention, and we'll put that on the lower lash line as well. And then back to Thrill. We're just going to use that as the inner corner highlight. I'm going to wet my brush here. Okay, let me add some mascara. Okay guys, this is look number 1, and for look number 1, I just wanted to do a very quick, easy, simple, bam, bam, bam. You don't have to think too hard about it. It could be an everyday kind of look type of situation, and it didn't, as you can see, it was not a lot of effort. It didn't take me very long. I didn't have to think too hard about it. And I still think it looks really nice, and the shimmers and the mattes are beautiful. So really like this look. Let's get into look number 2. For look number 2, I want to go into this shade right here called Carpe Diem, and we're going to use this as the transition shade. Okay, from here I want to try this black. So the blackest black is definitely one that is an interesting shade. It definitely feels interesting. It definitely does not swatch very well, but once you put it on the eyes, I feel like it performs really well. So I'm just going to put this in the outer corner. Yeah, that's pretty pigmented. I didn't really have too much problems with it in the mini Xenon palette. I'm going to just pack it on here before we blend it out. Pack it onto the outer corner, and then just kind of slowly start bringing it up into my actual crease. And I'm going to switch over to a fluffy brush, and we're going to blend this out. And it's blending out pretty well so far. I'm just going to add a little bit of that Carpe Diem back in and kind of soften up the edges of this black a little bit. Okay, I really want to try this Serenity shade right here. It looks super beautiful, and I'm going to put it on my finger, and we're just going to put it in the middle of the lid and kind of blend it into that black. This is definitely a fall palette if I've ever seen one. This isn't just a purple palette. Like, this has other things in it, you know what I mean? It's not just a straight purple palette. This is definitely, as you can see, you can do other things than just purple with this palette. So, and I think it's making some really, really nice like fall looks, which I am in the mood for sure. I'm so in the mood for fall right now. Like, I want everything to be fall. Fall scents, fall perfumes, fall candles, fall decor. Can't wait for Halloween. I'm going to take more of that black and we're just going to put it down on the lower lash line, just in the outer portion. Kind of connect it. And then we're going to go back in with that Serenity shade and put it on the rest of the lower lash line. And then this shimmer shade right here called Spontaneous. I'm interested in that shade. We're going to put that on my finger, and let's put that on the inner portion. It's kind of light. Oh, there we go. It's building up a little bit. At first I thought it was similar to this one over here, but it's not. This is definitely a different tone. Okay, let's use Spontaneous with a wet brush for the inner corner highlights. Ooh, that is beautiful. If you get that wet, that is gorgeous. It's pretty even if you don't, but if you wet your brush and use it, it's definitely another level of shiny. All right, so that is the second look. Again, very easy, not really difficult, not overly complicated. Anybody could do that look. Throw it on pretty quickly, but it is a nice like fall inspired type of look that doesn't take a lot of thought or effort. I feel like this is a very easy to use palette. You're not going to struggle. It's not a challenging color story, and it's going to be, you know, pretty easy to put looks together. Of course, you know I had to save the best for last. I'm going to wash these eye looks off and we're going to get into the purples in this palette because of course that's what I'm the most excited for. So I will be right back. All right, guys. Let's crank this party up a little bit, shall we? Let's get a little bit more purple, a little bit more dramatic. My favorite kind of look. I want to start off with Instinct. It's this shade right here. It's a very berry toned purpley pink shade. And we're just going to start off with this shade right in the transition. Just going to kind of put it on the outer corner and then put it in where my transition shade would be. That is a really, really pretty shade. We'll pack it on first and then we'll worry about blending it all in later. I absolutely adore that shade, and that is blending out just so nicely. So easy to work with. Blends to where you want it. You can build it up if you want it to be more dramatic, or you could tone this down and keep it a lot lighter. Okay, I'm going to go back into Unity here, and I'm just going to use that to kind of blend out the edges of this shade that we just put down. Make them nice and smooth. Okay, I'm super curious about this shade called Edgy right here. It looks like a very deep, dark, vampy kind of purple. Just going to put it on the outer corner here and into the crease a little bit, just to add a little bit of depth. Okay, time to play with some of these shimmers I've been dying to play with. So I'm just going to take a little bit of my concealer and we're going to put it on the lid, and I'm going to look up and we're going to cut the crease a little bit. Just about a third of the way, not all the way over. Okay, I have been absolutely dying to play with Vision, this multi-chrome that shifts. So let's start with that. I'm just going to start with my finger here. I'm just going to put this all over the lid. I'm going to use my brush to get up into that upper part. Wow, that is a really pretty shade. That is super unique. I don't know that I have a shade quite like that in my collection. That is beautiful. I do kind of want more of a transition between this spot right here and where the outer corner meets. So I'm actually going to take this shimmer shade right here called Risk. And I'm just going to put that on my brush and kind of ease that transition over just a little bit. And then for the very inner portion, I want to use this shade right here called Babies. And I think that means I have used every single shade in the palette now. So Babies is going to go on the inner portion here. Wow, what an absolutely beautiful, oh my gosh, I just love the shimmers in here. These shimmers are beautiful, and the purple shades are just blending really well together. Everything blended out really nicely. Okay, so far so good. I'm really liking that. And that shade Vision is all over the lid. It's beautiful and it shifts. Like, I don't know if you can pick it up over here when I turn my eyes, but it has like this gorgeous like greenish gold shift to it. I love it. It's absolutely stunning. Okay, so let me go ahead and continue on with my makeup, and I'm going to put all my makeup on except for my blush and highlighter because we still need to check out this beautiful palette. I'm hoping that I like it. I'm hoping it's swatched really nicely. So let me put on my makeup and we will check this one out as well. Okay, you guys, we're going to finish up this lower lash line. So I'm going to take that really dark purple shade that we use for the outer corner, Edgy, and I'm going to use that for the lower lash line. I'm just going to put that on the outer edge of the lower lash line and kind of connect it up into the corner here. And then from there, I'm going to take Babies and just put it on the rest of the lower lash line. And then I'm going to go back into Spontaneous here. We're going to use that as an inner corner highlight. Ooh, that is a beautiful inner corner highlight. I love that. I'm going to take a little bit of that for a brow bone highlight, just very small up at the very top. All right, let's switch gears and go into the cheek palette. I already have on my bronzer and all my other makeup. I do have on Amorosa, and this is from the I Need a Nude Lip. This came with the Valentine's Day collection, like the mini love palette, and I think this is the perfect like cool tone nude lip. This is why I didn't want to get the other one that came out with this release, because I felt, I don't know, I just feel like this is the ultimate like cool toned nude lip. Anyway, let's check out the cheek palette. Okay, so we're gonna start off with the blush here. This is a cream blush, by the way. So let's see how it does, how it mixes. I did set my face with powder. That is not like overly creamy though, and I feel like that's going to mix well. Like, I like that formula. It feels like it mixes well with either cream bases or powder bases. So sometimes it's a problem, you know, when you set your face with powder and then you put a cream product on top, it can get clumpy, it can not mix very well. So sometimes you don't want to, you know, set your face, but I really like those cream products that just blend in nicely no matter what you did, you know what I mean? Because I just kind of went in autopilot and set my face, and then I thought, oh, I'm gonna use a cream blush, so should I have done that? But this is the type of formula that I feel like just goes on anything. It's very smooth and it's applying really, really nicely, so no issues there. It is a cream, but I feel like it just sets down. Yeah, it doesn't feel, it almost feels like a cream to powder finish. And it's blending in really well with the powder products on my face, so no issues there. I'm going to put on some more because I want to see if this builds, which it does look like it's building pretty nicely. It is the perfect shade to go along with this eye look, in my opinion. I think that's a beautiful shade. I'm really loving this formula of blush. It applies super easy and it's building up. I feel like just depending on your preference for blush, if you like a lot of blush or if you don't, you really have a lot of control here. It doesn't go on too pigmented, but it is, as you can see, it is building. So you can make it more dramatic if you want to. I really like that blush. That is nice. That blends like a dream. See what I did there? Okay, let's see how this cream base highlighter does. I am going to put this on my little sponge here, and I'm just going to put a little bit of that cream base here and pop it up right on the tops of my cheekbones. Okay, that's pretty. I feel like that looks really good. I have textured skin right there, so I have to be careful with my highlighter. I do like dramatic highlighter, but it's nice to have a highlighter that doesn't like emphasize texture. And I have to say that looks pretty smooth, guys. Okay, I just want to add, normally I think I'd stop here because I'm pretty satisfied with this highlight, but I do want to check out the powder. So I'm just going to put a little bit of this on the brush and just add a little bit of powder up here as well, just to maybe set it. But I feel like it set down really nice. It didn't feel overly sticky. So I don't know that you would have to set it with this powder. You could choose not to. I really like that. I really, really like this cheek palette, you guys. I really like the palette, the eyeshadow palette, and I really like the cheek palette. So this is definitely a winner in my book. I am loving that. I love this color. I love the cream. I love, you could do both together. You could do them separately. So you basically have, you know, two highlighters in here that both look pretty flattering and they don't emphasize texture, even when they're layered together. So I'm impressed with this for sure. Definitely recommend this cheek palette. All right, let me go ahead and pop on some liner, lashes, fix my hair and all of that, and then I will come back. We'll do some comparisons. All right, guys, I'm back and this is the finished look. I absolutely love it. This is right up my alley, and I'm pretty happy with the looks that I created with this palette. I will say that this is, like I mentioned earlier, a little bit more warm tone than I thought it originally was. So when I first saw this palette, my initial reaction to the promo pictures was that this was a cross between the Glam palette and the Retro palette, but I was wrong when it comes to the Glam palette. Now, I don't own the Glam palette anymore. I decluttered that one, not because I think that that's a bad palette. I actually really liked the Glam palette. The quality was phenomenal, but it's just not my cup of tea. I don't reach for it very often. I don't wear neutral eyeshadow looks all that often. I usually like a little bit of color. So I did go ahead and declutter that one, but I will pop a picture up on the screen here. And you can see that there really aren't very many similar shades. I remember having that palette, and I remember there was a lot of like shades of gray, silvers, things like that. Yeah, I'm looking at a picture of the Glam palette to try to refresh my memory, and honestly, you guys, I don't see a whole lot of similar shades with the Glam. So yeah, I was wrong to think that there were like a lot of similar shades. I don't know why I thought of Glam when I saw this, but like I said, the promo pictures looked a little bit more cool toned, but now that I see it in person, I'm really not seeing a whole lot of correlation. Do we have these like transition shades here in other palettes? I'm sure we do. I'm sure if you looked in your collection and you got out some of your neutral palettes, you're gonna find like these similar neutral shades. And for that matter, if you were to look into your collection and pull out some purple eyeshadow palettes, you'd probably find some of these purples as well. You know, I mean, is this the most innovative color story that I've ever seen? Probably not. You know what I mean? It's purples with some neutrals, but I love the quality of this, and I love the way that this palette is laid out. As I mentioned before, this black shade is a repeat shade, which is in the Xenon palette, but I really don't mind that because I think this is a great laid out palette as far as giving you options from light to dark. So I love the fact that they have this like inner corner highlight shade, and then I love that you can, you know, you have a few options over on this side to really darken up the outer corner. You've got some nice transition shades in here, and I think this is a very well laid out palette. Now the other palette I thought of was the Retro palette, so let me show you these two side by side. So this is what the Retro palette looks like. If I put them side by side, I do see a few that are a little similar. Really though, I'm kind of surprised at how, you know, I've been looking at these and I can't really find all that many, to be honest. Let me see if I can find the ones that are the closest. So there's no black in the Retro. All right, so this is a shade, this is Aspiration in the My Dream palette, and then this shade right here is Apart. I'd say those two are fairly similar, but this one I would say is a little bit darker from the My Dream palette. And then we have this shade right here. This is Instinct. And then in here we have Rebellion. So these are the two shades. This is the one in the My Dream palette. This is Instinct, and then this is Rebellion. Similar but different shades. For sure. There's also Groove in here as well. Let me swatch this one next to these. So this shade right here is Groove in the Retro palette, but still different from these guys. Okay, this shade right here is Serenity, and this is from the My Dream palette. And I'm going to swatch it next to Jude from the Retro palette. So those are the only two that I found that could be somewhat similar, but as you can see, those are definitely different. Those are different shades for sure. This is Babies from the My Dream palette, and the only one that's similar to that is Helio from the Retro palette. Those two are a little bit closer together, I would say. Those two are pretty similar. And then we have Nude Mauve, which is in the Retro palette. It's a very cool tone neutral shade, and I'm just going to swatch it by Nurture, which is also kind of a cool tone neutral transition shade in the My Dream palette. So I'd say those two are a little similar as well, but they're definitely not the same. They're different. So this is Risk from the My Dream palette, the one that I put on the outer corner. It's a shimmer shade. So this is from Risk from the My Dream palette, and then I'm gonna swatch it next to Swing, which is another shimmer shade in the Retro palette. But those are completely different. So they looked a little similar in the pan, but as you can see, they're completely different shades. Really, you guys, there might be a few that are similar, maybe 3 or 4 that I found that are slightly similar. I think there's only one in here that is pretty darn close, which are these two right here. The rest of them have differences. So I'm not really feeling like this is exactly the same, you know what I mean? Like I said, this isn't an innovative palette, you know what I mean? Sure, I could go into my collection and I could find these shades. I could. In other palettes, but I don't want to. I want this palette. So if you have Retro, I don't know that they're as similar as I originally thought they were. I really did think this was just Glam and Retro together, but now that I have them and I'm comparing them side by side, I'm not convinced that that's the case. So I really do feel like this is different enough to justify having it in your collection if this is your jam, you know, if this is your color story. I love the quality of this. I think that it's absolutely gorgeous, and I like the way that this palette is laid out, and for me personally, it was worth the $69. So that's it, you guys. That's all I have for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it, and yeah, I'd like to hear from you. I want to know what you think. I want to know if you're planning on picking up this new collection from Natasha Denona. I just appreciate you guys watching. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I hope everybody is having an amazing day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!